Right mate, Slimy here, and welcome back to some more stage building stuff I guess. And well, today I decided to be doing the Terraria Ocean due to some very strange random discussion that we had on one of the Tin Discord servers. Start off as per usual with borderless, and this time I'm doing this one new technique I believe the Tin Gangers have been calling mathematically correct gradients or something crazy like that. So I'm here playing around with this for the first time. I've never actually done this before, so this is just me experimenting. Wow, that green is very flashy. I was told when doing backgrounds just to put green on the background because it makes the borders stand out. Well, not the borders, but the grid stand out the best. That's what I'm trying there. As you can see, I'm still trying around with the actual colour of the gradient. And now we're actually getting the ocean in, which I'm actually going to be doing something interesting here. Now in Terraria, for people who are familiar with Terraria and that, you'll already know this. But in Terraria, the ocean in the background is like several blocks up from where the ocean is in gameplay. So I'm just creating that same effect, and as you can see here, I'm doing borderless islands because most of what I'm building in this stage will be borderless. And it takes me a while here to get what I'm looking for here, but I'm trying to get where the the waves hit the shore, trying to create that effect. And I think at this point I just decided I'm going to do a backslash, which are one of the most fiddliest things to do in like stage builder and that, and I decided to do it borderless, which as you can see is just even more fiddlier than usual, but I go ahead and do it, and I end up with actually both of the islands. I was going to do a third one, but I decided against it. It's good that I did that, because I would not have had any room for it in the actual gameplay. You just would not have been able to see it at all. Now, this is one thing that I've been trying around with, is someone actually made a grid on the Tin Gang of the 3 different stage sizes, and whenever I've been doing like actual detail pieces, I've been drawing them out on a grid so I can figure out how to construct them in game. And as you can see here, we're doing everyone's favourite emoji, the yeah. And I thought, well, there's moai in the background of the Terraria oceans. Well, sometimes there is, and I thought I'll put one of them in. Well, I couldn't shrink it down all the way, so I just thought I'll just have a giant one there, and it won't really be too much of a problem for the simple reason that Easter Island heads in real life are something like 18 foot tall or something massive like that. So I thought it's not really going to look that out of place, and use borderless then to cover up a little bit of sand next to the moai. And I think then at this point that I just end up placing like just a temporary stage area just so I can just like quickly save out. And at this point I actually start deciding to actually do the detailed like house build, as I wanted kind of the actual battle area arena thing to actually be like a Terraria seaside house. Unfortunately at the moment with the footage that I'm watching back, because I'm narrating over this footage, the way it's sped up is just like my computer is not really enjoying it. But I'm actually messing around trying to do one of the windows now. I only decided to have one window, but I actually recorded this on 2 separate days, because I actually started doing the detail of the house on one day, and then what happened is then one of the things that I put into this build of sorts gave me so much trouble that it actually gave me a physical headache. So I just decided for that time, right, that's it, I'm going to take a break from actually building this. So I then left this for about nearly a week before actually getting back to it. But I'm actually glad that I took that break, because something that actually comes in later on, which isn't this kind of ugly looking table, I actually really enjoyed making. And again, I actually end up using that grid pattern that I found on Tin Gaming to actually do the layout for it. That's actually how I did that Mr. Krabs build that I did in the last episode of stage building. And again, you can see me just messing around with borderless. I think this here, this is the thing that gave me so much trouble, the anchor. I really wanted to include an anchor in this because of, well, I just think anchors look cool. It's like, I was genuinely disappointed in Terraria whenever they said, oh, we're redoing how flails are working. And I thought, oh great, I'll be able to use the anchor as a weapon. And then the anchor was just like completely excluded from that update that they did. So it still works like the old flails, which is just a disappointment because, I don't know, I think anchors are cool and I feel like, you know, using an anchor as a weapon like a la May from Guilty Gear or something could just actually be really fun. That's like the only thing I know about that character aside from that, what is it, Totsgeki or something, the dolphin thing. But anyway, this anvil, this anchor gave me so many problems building it that, like I said, it gave me a headache, and the game actively fought against me making this anchor. So I just kind of like quit part way through and then, like I said, took a break and then came back like a few days later. But what you're seeing here now is me actually building the roof like a few days later. It's only a very simple roof, but I just kind of plot it out how I want it to look first, and that's not the final thing because I'm watching the stage weight. And I actually then end up doing kind of another border just so that I can make the doors and that pop out without making them a separate object. Now, at this point, I was originally going to plan on tracing the Terraria tree pixel by pixel into the actual like stage builder on that. But what ended up happening is I thought, well, that's a bit boring, so I'm just going to actually, again, plot on the grid like I was doing with the Moai head, the funny emoji. So I'm just doing the same thing here with the tree, and it actually turned out pretty well. If you're wondering why I made it so large and on its side, is if you actually make something massive on its side and then turn it around and shrink it down, you can actually make some really massive stuff like shrink down to be player sizes. I've seen someone on the Tin Discord server, I can't remember who it is, actually made one of the like the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure characters, but made them huge. Now I'm just testing around here with Steve just to make sure that I've got everything working. That's just to make sure that, you know, everything works as intended. And I think this is the point now where I actually put the part that I liked the most out of building this. And again, I plotted this out using that grid, and it will be pretty obvious what it is whenever I actually get to finger, because I was actually counting each individual square, which is why it takes me so long to do these. I just want it to look accurate, and I feel like making an accurate looking stage is like, well, part of making a good stage, really. I put a lot of focus into trying to make the stage look as good as I can, as well as making it work as well as I can and making it functional, well, unique and playable. But as you can see here, I'm actually making a shark, which I actually used a great white shark for a reference for this. I don't actually know what shark they use in Terraria, but I'm guessing it is supposed to be a great white of some kind. But I actually wanted to get it like accurately sized, so I actually decided to make, you know, a path for it, and it keeps getting its tail caught like if it's a fresher shark or something. That is kind of hard to say actually, but I instead decided to do this pattern for movement, and I'm just testing to make sure it looks right in that. And one of the reasons why I actually wanted to test this is so that the shark actually looks like it swims off screen. I also didn't want the shark to be swimming upside down, because if anybody knows anything about sharks, sharks kind of go into like this dopey state when they're upside down. So anyway, we've got the platforms here. I'm just testing these with Steve to make sure that they work as intended. And with that and the scrolling background, that's basically about it. That's all there is to it. And there we go. There's the Terraria Ocean biome stage done.